Morning, I had an opportunity to talk to an individual as a contractor on $1 million home today in Carter County. And at this time, I'd like for Mr. Hall to address this commission and explain to this committee the problems with the inspectors that we have today in this county doing the inspection. Mr. Parker, would you please come to the stand, please? Thank you, sir.
Many of you know me. I'm Amy Hallwood. I'm a partner of Brooklyn Builders. We are building a home right now in Watauga Falls, which is inside Carter County. I bought my permit from Mr. Schiffer's office several months ago. The inspector come out, done my footer inspection, no problem. Come out very friendly. About a week ago, he comes to do my roofing inspection. And as a builder, I take pride in my work. I'm not here to try to circumvent code or build something wrong so that I can make an extra buck. Okay, I take great pride. We take pictures of our houses at every step so that we can show the people we build for and anybody else what we do. We don't hide anything. Inspector comes out, goes through the house, finds a few things here and there that he suggests that we need to do. No problem. Write them down, take care of them. He passes my house, signs my inspection report, marks it passed. There's one issue that came up. He wanted me to caulk the entire interior of the house, anything that touched the outside of the house. I had never heard of this. He was talking between every jack and king stud. Stop running a line of caulk and spraying it. So I asked him, if you can show me this in the code book, I have no problem doing it. He says, absolutely no problem, I'll show you. We go to his truck. He can't find it in his code book. We call somebody in Nashville. They can't find it in the code book. Call somebody else. They can't find it in the code book. He sits there and shakes my hand and says, you're good to go. Don't need to do this. At this point, I ordered sheetrock for my house. Have it sitting there right now waiting to be put up. When the inspector comes back, hands papers to me and says, we're enforcing this. Shuts my job site down, gives me a whole list of things that he finds deficient in the house. Okay, I've got men lined up to work. I got things needing to be done that now I'm stopped. I have to call everybody to put a stop on it, right? To this day, I spent $3,000 doing things that he's asked me to do in this house that are not in the code. He gives me an addendum from IECC of suggested ways that you can build a thermal envelope in a house. It is not part of the code. The code asks for an air block. The air block could be any material that resists air. I have that. We use the board system. It's very efficient. It acts as an air block on its own. When he called the man in Nashville, the man in Nashville said, don't caulk that house. That's a bad idea. You'll create a double moisture barrier that effectively causes your house to sweat and cause rotting in the wood. Then to come back to me 3 days later, takes the permit out of the box, scratches out the pass, scratches spell, redates it, and puts it back in there and tells me I'm not to do anything else, then threatens me that I will never get permanent power in that house until I do the things he says, even though he can't find them in the code. He gives me a list of other things, saying that my Advantex board, it's not Advantex, it's zip board system on the side of the house, being installed horizontally, is improper. I had to go to Huber, the manufacturer of that board, request a letter stating that no, that is the proper way to put it up, that you can choose either way, and they actually recommend that you do it that way because it's more stable. Although he threatened me, saying that I had to rip all of it off the side of the house and install it another way. Okay, this caused me 3 days of delays, making numerous phone calls to people with the manufacturer to get that took care of. He comes in and looks at a step that I have and says, this step is not the code, build a platform, rip it out, redo all the steps. So we looked at it, and optically it looked like it might be wrong because we had actually had to stop the wood, build a knee wall, and then continue the steps on down. So we go to repair it, and we measure it, and it is correct. There's nothing wrong with it. This type of stuff, of all that, I have no problem fixing something. If you can go to me in the code book and say it's right, or wrong, let's do it this way, this is the right way, I have no problem. But for the man to sit there and look me in the face and shake my hand and say, you're good to go ahead and order your stuff, and then come back the next day and stop my job site because he was upset that I had questioned him on caulking a house. And for him to tell me I'll never permit power on that house because he feels that he's the ultimate authority in anything, even though he told me we were good to go and that there was no problems. I spent $3,000 taking costs and paying men to go up around that house and caulk the whole exterior of that house. I don't know that that won't cause me a problem 10 years from now. I'll get sued because even his superior agreed that that was a bad idea on the phone with me. And I would give anything to have that phone call recorded today. Because that's the only thing I can fall back on if this becomes a problem. It was not a matter of who knows what. It was not a matter of who was right or wrong. It was a matter of he passed me after he stops me. And he does it not because it's the right thing to do or because I was building an unsafe house. Just because he didn't like me questioning him. And when he couldn't find the answer, his report for that was to come back and stop me from doing anything else and try to get me to jump through all these hoops just to make me feel better. Now, I have no problem. I built in Johnson County, there's no inspections there. I built in Mountain City, their inspectors come from North Carolina, they're very strict. I built in the Ridges in Johnson City, and I've had to correct things that would come up and find deficient. No true builder has a problem with the code. Okay? But you've got to use common sense, and you've got to look at the totality of the code. Not just one small section to say, well, I want to do this. I'm going to get a measuring tape out and make sure you have enough nails in this wood. When you can look at the whole structure and say it's very soundly built. So I would encourage you to please, let's get people in there with common sense. And I would be up here and I'd be the first one to be, if Mr. Church or Tony, one of these guys was up here and they were trying to make me do ridiculous things, costing me thousands of dollars for unnecessary things, I'd be up in the same spot. But you give us no recourse. There's nobody to call. You call Nashville, nobody answers the phone. Nobody calls you back. I've made numerous phone calls. You can't get anybody to tell you anything. Okay? These guys don't have a boss that you can call up and say, hey, is he on the line? Because they don't answer the phone and they don't return phone calls. At least if it's local, we can go talk to somebody. I can go to Chris's office. I've had a very good working relationship with Mr. Shupin. Okay? He's never asked me for a bribe or, hey, Angus, if you do this, I'll let you do this. Nothing. It's always been professional. And if I'm wrong, or if my guys are doing something out of line, they'll make sure that they let you know it. That's just me coming from the business side of it. But I just ask you, please, take that into consideration. You cannot get an answer from Nashville. Nobody will call you back. You got somebody out there doing whatever they want to do, we have nobody to turn to. And if you'd like to see the documentation, I actually took pictures of this permit where he passed it, and then comes back and fails it because he was upset with me for asking him a question. I can provide that to anybody anytime. Also, the letters from Huber where he fails it on one thing and they come back and say that it's proper way to put it on. So, thank you, Mr. Hardy, for the
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. I got another question for you.
Yes,
Who did this guy work for?
I assume he works for the state. The state is saying.
He is a subcontractor in the state of Tennessee, Department of Commerce and Insurance, Mr. Wilson. Just like we do.
What's this guy's name?
Excuse me, ma'am.
His name?
You're out of order, madam. What's your name?